Hello, Bethany Beach. Thank you. So good to see everybody here. Another beautiful day in Bethany. No threat of rain, yay. So just a couple of quick changes in our schedule. If you haven't gotten it, the program is over here. September 13th, we originally scheduled Parrot Beach, the Jimmy Buffett tribute. That is now going to be 70s flashback. So, yeah, so a lot of people will be happy about that. And then September 26th, the doo-wop band, we've had to replace them as well, and we rescheduled them for the Jimmys. So that is, the Dell Vikings are not coming, unfortunately. So we are going to have that all updated with our site, but just to give you guys the first fresh off the press news, that's it. And then Emily's got a couple things coming up this weekend.
So we've got music here on Saturday. Saturday at 7:30 is going to be Crash the Limo, so come join us for that. And then Sunday is Perrier Day, which is our celebration between our twinning town, Perrier, France, and here. There'll be a quick ceremony at 7:15 Sunday night, followed by the bell tones at 7:30. And keeping with that theme, on Monday we have Ratatouille as our movie on the Bandstand, so join us at dusk for that. So that's a lot of fun. Join us for any of those events this weekend.
So who was at CelloFest last year? All right, good. Well, welcome back. And those of you who weren't, welcome, because this is a really, really nice night. I met Brenda Neece, who's the founder of the Cello Museum. She came over to me during one of the bonfire on the beach nights, and she told me about this idea. I want to have this Cello Fest. Do you have any suggestions of where I could do it in Bethany? And I said, oh, as a matter of fact, I do. And so I suggested the Bandstand, and she gathered all her best musical accomplished cellists that she could, right? And then she also had some, they conducted a school, teaching, educational for the kids, and she gathered Erica Lessie from Chicago, and then Jennifer Kloetzel from San Francisco, yep, and then Brenda herself, she's from North Carolina, but also has Bethany roots. And they did this show, and it's just a great way to introduce people to the strings and cellos. It's just beautiful music, and people were thinking, oh, it's all just classical, but not. They really had a nice repertoire, and it was just an engaging evening. So we're happy to do it again. And this time, Dr. Peter Wilson is with us as well, and that's Jennifer's husband. And he's been, and yes. He was in the U.S. Marine Band for 30 years, and now is a conductor. He's an accomplished violinist, so he and Jennifer are in BrickHouse Duo too. So they've really expanded the repertoire to include all types of music. So everybody, let's have a nice warm welcome for CelloFest. Welcome, enjoy.
Thank you. And good evening, Cello Bethany Beach. Welcome to the second annual CelloFest, brought to you by the founder and creator and director, the one and only Dr. Brenda Neece over here. Thank you very much, Brenda. My name is Peter Wilson. I play the violin, but tonight this is a piccolo cello, ladies and gentlemen, because I got to be part of the group, right? Right? So it looks a little smaller than it would normally just because I'm a big guy. So, you know, call it the Marine in me. There it is. So we've got a great show for you tonight. You've got all these cellos lined up. We're ready to go. And I'm part of this wonderful duo, the BrickHouse Duo, featuring our headliner tonight, the world-renowned celebrity cellist and recording artist, Jennifer Kloetzel. We opened, of course, with the great America by Leonard Bernstein from the show West Side Story. And now we're going to give you a little piano music arranged for violin and cello. This is music that I heard on this very boardwalk played on an upright piano when I was a little boy, and it's stuck with me ever since. It's from the king of ragtime, Scott Joplin. Here is The Entertainer. Thank you. This next piece will really take advantage of these string instruments and their beauty and the wood and the wonderful string sounds that we can get. This comes from the composer and fiddler from Nashville, the great Mark O'Connor. If you haven't heard of him, he played on so many great albums over the years, and he started writing for orchestras and things. But probably his greatest claim to fame was an album that he did with the legendary cellist Yo-Yo Ma and the great bassist Edgar Meyer. And we're going to play the title track now. We've kind of narrowed it down from a trio to a duo, but this is the title track called Appalachia Waltz. Well, I don't know about you, but I love movie musicals. And the heyday of those were in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s with Singing in the Rain and The Sound of Music, West Side Story, even Wizard of Oz. And it's kind of rare for movie musicals to happen today, but one that came out a few years ago was The Greatest Showman. Anybody see that? Loved that movie. Some great songs came out of that. And there was one particular song that was covered by the pop superstar Pink. It's called A Million Dreams. So this is here. So as was mentioned, I spent 30 years as a Marine violinist of the White House. Thank you, serving 5 presidents from 1990 to 2020. Thank you very much. Loved that duty, and one of my favorite things about that job was every December getting to play the Kennedy Center Honors. And so I would lead string quartets at the State Department, and then we'd go back to the White House the next day and do duos in the diplomatic reception room where FDR did his fireside chat, so a lot of history there. And I would write arrangements for each of the honorees, whether they were singers or actors or dancers, maybe opera stars, and even rock stars. And so one year I got to play for Led Zeppelin. Thank you very much. And so I thought you might like to hear that arrangement tonight. So we brought a little Led Zeppelin for you. Get ready for Kashmir and Black Dog. So when I finished that, Robert Plant yelled across from the room and he said, "We were never that tight." Thought that was a good compliment. Maybe it needs to be a little more messy, I don't know. So this next piece we're going to feature Jennifer on. I'm going to play a little accompaniment with her. If you had to make a list of the top 5 cello solos ever written, this might be number 1, but it's certainly in the top 5. It was written by the French composer Camille Saint-Saëns for Carnival of the Animals. Here is, appropriately enough, The Swan. Okay, now I'm going to just let Jennifer play all by herself. This is an unaccompanied piece by Mark Summer, written in 1988. He was the cellist of the Turtle Island String Quartet. You've heard of them. A lot of kind of crazy, crazy music back in the day. But he wrote this fantastic piece. It's called Giulio. Jennifer Kloetzel, ladies and gentlemen. And now please welcome to the stage this year's participants in the second annual Bethany Beach CelloFest. Once again, coordinated by Dr. Brenda Neece. Let's give a wave, Brenda. That's right. So this is the BBC Cello Ensemble, as we call it. We're going to open this set with a little Aaron Copland. That was, of course, Copland's iconic Fanfare for the Common Man, which you may have recognized from film and of presidential inaugurations along the way. And now for something completely different, we bring you one of the greatest rock songs of all time. And this one is one of the few ever to be recorded with just a string ensemble. This is the Beatles, ladies and gentlemen, and they didn't use any rock instruments on this tune. Here is Eleanor Rigby.
3, 4.
Thank you. This next selection took Leonard Cohen about 250 tries and many years to get it right. And there are almost over 300 versions of this song in existence, including one that was featured in the movie Shrek. So it seems that he finally got it right. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the wonderful Hallelujah. And now we're going to feature just the faculty of the CelloFest. Of course, you've met Dr. Brenda Neece over here. Yes, yes, yes. Applause, please, for Dr. Brenda Neece. Erica Lessie over here, waving with the bow. And of course, our guest artist, Jennifer Kloetzel. And together, they're going to play this beautiful trio arrangement of Bach's Cello Prelude in G major.
Your Bethany Beach CelloFest faculty. So this next arrangement is one of two that I was asked to write for this ensemble. I was very proud to do it. At 53 weeks on the Billboard 100, ladies and gentlemen, this song peaked at number 4 by Grammy winner and Best New Artist Chapel Rowan. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Here is Pink Pony Club.
Pink Pony Club, led by Jennifer Kloetzel in the beautiful pink. Yes. So this summer's been a pretty big year for blockbusters, Superman, Fantastic Four, and everything. But it all started, of course, with the new Mission Impossible, right? The Final Reckoning. How many saw The Final Reckoning? Tom Cruise. How many have seen any Mission Impossible movies? Any at all? How many used to watch the old TV show Mission Impossible? Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. So the one thing that's been constant from the TV show through all of the movies is the music, ladies and gentlemen, by Lalo Schifrin, dating back to 1966. We're going to give you Mission Impossible now. How about that CelloFest ensemble? Oh, yes. Well, you can't be this close to the sea without a sea shanty, ladies and gentlemen. So I get no sea shanty fans out there? Any at all? Okay, thank goodness. You had me worried there. So this is one of the most recognizable sea shanties, originating in New Zealand back in the late 19th century. Here is The Wellerman. the Bethany Beach CelloFest Ensemble. We're going to let the other 7 cellists sit back a little bit, and we're going to now feature Jennifer Kloetzel once again on a solo. This is an arrangement that I wrote for her a few years ago. It's going to be a mashup of the Bach cello prelude that you heard earlier, which is originally for solo cello. And I decided to mash it up with George Harrison's Here Comes the Sun. So ladies and gentlemen, here is Bach to the Beatles. Jennifer Kloetzel. How about a little more BrickHouse Duo? Yeah? Okay. And the piccolo cello. Piccolo cello is back. So this is a medley of songs from Appalachia, where I grew up in West Virginia. You're going to hear first the Ashokan Farewell, which is the Civil War tune that was used in that PBS series 35 years ago now. Then you're going to hear the Simple Gifts melody, also known as the Shaker Hymn, which was most notably used by Aaron Copland in his Pulitzer Prize-winning Appalachian Spring. And then we close it out with the great American spiritual Amazing Grace. This is called an Appalachian Prayer. Thank you so much. Man, I'm really sorry for you all because we have the best view of the ocean here, and you're just missing out. You know, I kind of want to invite you up here so you can see that. But you know what? You're such a beautiful crowd. I don't even care about the ocean. I love looking at you because you're amazing. Give yourselves a round of applause, please. Speaking of the ocean, you know, this is the 50th anniversary of Jaws, and the great composer John Williams, the great, great film composer. We're going to play a little John Williams for you, but first... Oh, no. Jennifer Kloetzel, ladies and gentlemen. One of the most famous cello section and bass section solos in all of film history. How many Star Wars fans do we have? Because the truth is that John Williams, great as he was for the film Jaws, you know, he composed 2 notes basically, let's face it, folks. Developed them very well. But he's probably most famous for his 9 Star Wars films. So we brought you the 7th installment. This is The Force Awakens. You're going to hear The Scavenger, which is Rey's theme, the new female heroine. And then you're going to hear The March of the Resistance. I love this music from John Williams. Here it is. Getting pretty tired up here. How do you feel, Brenda? You feel good? Okay. How many Queen fans out there? Okay, we're going to close out this little BrickHouse Duo set with this Queen medley. Let's see, you're going to hear another one, Bites the Dust, Pressure. Then we're going to do We Will Rock You, and you know what to do, right? Stomp, stomp, clap. When I look at you, you're going to help me out here, okay? And then you'll have to stop that as soon as we play We Are the Champions, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is, Queen. You having a good time out there? Fantastic. Well, we have one more big, the whole CelloFest ensemble piece to play for you. But before we do that, we want to thank you all so much for coming out. Give yourselves another round of applause. Hope you enjoyed the show. On behalf of Dr. Brenda Neece, the founder of this amazing Bethany Beach CelloFest, give her a round of applause, would you? The visionary. We really want to thank our other faculty, other than Brenda, of course. Erica Lessie over here. And the wonderful Jennifer Kloetzel. In addition, we must offer a heartfelt thanks to St. Martha's Episcopal Church here in Bethany Beach for their tremendous support and collaboration, allowing this CelloFest to use their church facilities for lessons, rehearsals, and recitals. Let's give it up for St. Martha's, please. We're going to have some performances there this Sunday morning if you want to attend the service. I don't know how much room we have there, but I'm just letting you know, okay? In addition, I want to mention that church members have graciously hosted several of our participants, and that's a really big deal, so we can lower our costs. Thank you very much to all of those hosts. And finally, many thanks to the town of Bethany Beach and the events coordinator, the events director and media coordinator, Julie Moletsky, over here. Thank you, Julie. It's awesome. So we will close now with the other arrangement that I wrote just especially for this group. I had another piece in mind, but then when Brian Williams passed away of the Beach Boys, I said, no, we're going to honor Brian. And what better piece, what did I say? Brian Williams? No, not Brian Williams. I meant Brian Wilson. Yes, Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. Sorry, a little lightheaded up here. But Brian was such a pioneer in the recording industry and with the Beach Boys, and what better to close with than something by the Beach Boys, right? So here is one of the greatest songs, truly, in recorded history, in singing, God Only Knows. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. the Bethany Beach CelloFest Ensemble, ladies and gentlemen, starring Jennifer Kloetzel. Thanks so much. We hope you have a great rest of your summer, and we hope to see you next year. Thank you. Good night.
And I couldn't keep from coming on. Been so